Welcome to Batshit, a frank and funny look at living with mental illness.
While we'll touch on several illnesses, Batshit is focused on those along the spectrum of bipolar disorders. I'm your host, Adam.
I'm your other host, Brad.
And we're both bipolar, so strap in and let's see how batshit we really are.
Spoiler alert, pretty damn batshit.
Woohoo!
This episode's topic, Bipolar Relationships Part 4, Breakups.
I guess all of you love to hear about our dysfunctional relationships. That's what I've gathered from the numbers of the episodes.
Yeah, these are far and away our most popular episodes.
And, you know, part of us wants to imagine that you're like, oh man, I'm in a bipolar relationship and I need to figure out what's going on or maybe hear it from a different perspective. But part of me is also like, they're just sitting at home with like a bucket of popcorn being like, look at these asswads and what they did to their life.
You know what's been in my head?
Mm.
We both lie silently still in the dead of the night. Although we both lie close together, we feel miles apart inside. Was it something I said or something I did? Did my words not come out right? Though I tried not to hurt you, though I tried. But I guess that's why they say every rose has its thorn.
Okay, we should stop that.
We're getting sued just for that.
I will sing Bret Michaels all night,
Oh,
though.
completely.
All day.
Completely.
I mean, you say what you want about the man's losing his hair, but he can fucking sing.
There's nothing better for a breakup song than 80s hair metal.
Dude, I'm telling you, right?
Ballads?
Well, I feel like it's a whole music subgenre's breakup songs.
Oh, completely.
Yeah, I mean...
Although I will say Gautier's Somebody I Used to Know.
Ooh, that's hard. Oh, yeah, Lonesome Road.
Oh, Lonesome Road.
Dude, Lonesome Roads. I mean, that's not about breaking up. It's about death, but it's still very applicable.
Yeah.
How do you... Let me ask you this, Brad. Are you often the breaker-upper or the breaker-up-e?
That is a good question.
Is it like even for you?
Yeah, probably even.
Really?
I would say. No. I think I've broken up with more women than have broken up with me.
Yeah.
Now that I'm kind of ticking through it. Sometimes probably while manic.
Sure.
You know? Because that's one of the things that happens when you're dealing with this stuff is you're constantly like, ooh, shiny new thing.
And that was going to be my next question. What spawned a lot of the breakups? Was it that you and your partner at the time started falling out of love, or was it more, like you said, shiny new object?
Shiny new object.
Yeah.
That was it most of the time. Sometimes I think there was maybe a little bit of we're getting too close too fast.
Like you thought you were getting too close too fast?
Like subconsciously.
Oh, interesting.
Like it wasn't a conscious thing, but then looking back on it, it's like, oh, maybe I was a little afraid of commitment or intimacy there.
Oh, see, that's funny. I'm the exact opposite way. I'm like, we have to get closer. We have to get even closer.
Well, see,
wear your skin as a suit.
I think this is love, right?
This is love, right? Yeah.
I think that's the dichotomy that's interesting with, for me, mania versus depression.
Okay.
I think when I'm more on the depressed end, I don't want that closeness.
Oh,
which is weird because we've talked before about how you want comfort and stuff. It's again kind of a strange dichotomy.
I mean, I when I'm in a depressive episode, I don't want comfort. I don't want like Mandy around. I want Mandy in the next room, and I can come in and say, "Hey," and then I go back into my bedroom. Like I don't want her like sitting next to me, which I feel terrible about because I feel like that's also driven a lot of the breakups that I have had. Is I sit there and I present as depressed and your partner wants to support you in a depressive state, but that is the opposite of what I want. I don't know why. I just want to be alone, but I just want to be alone. And so I end up pushing back against the relationship. So now I'm a sad sack who's refusing help and dealing with someone who I probably haven't been with all that long. Because prior to Mandy, my longest relationship was, I think, 1.5 years before I would usually light that shit on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I don't even know if I made it that long.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. So when I was kind of on the depressed end, I think I think the idea of moving too fast, having like commitment milestones,
You mean like 2 years, 3 years,
well,
6
just
months?
things like, oh, we're boyfriend and girlfriend now.
Oh, like the labels.
Yeah, like the labels, or like, you know, you get to the point where like one person's wanting to introduce you to their family. Or,
Oh, okay.
You know, things like that can, I think, trigger those I better run.
Sure.
Instincts when you're on the depressed side.
Yeah.
Whereas when I'm on the manic side, it's the opposite way. Like I'm just like you. I want closeness.
Right.
Like let's hurry this up. We've been together 3 months. Let's get married.
Yeah,
exactly.
Let's do it. Why are we spending any time apart?
Yeah, this makes no sense.
It's stupid. You're over my house every night anyway because I make you beat. No.
Look, I'm chaining you in my basement because I love you.
I love you so hard, babe. I love you so hard, babe. I think breakups. Now, I'm curious about this, right? Because we're looking at it from our generation's point of view from breakups. And our experience dating breakups, right? But like, I feel like relationships have changed over the years, like in terms of the way people date, how people date, the relationships they find themselves in. And so breaking up was a huge thing when we were in high school, college, 20s.
Yeah.
Do you think that's still the same?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously for us.
To a certain extent. I think dating in general is more casual.
Sure.
I don't think a lot of times people I think when we were younger, you were dating looking for a significant other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times people are just dating now.
Just dating.
Yeah.
For the purposes of dating?
Yeah, just having fun.
Okay.
You know, go out to dinner, you know.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, that actually kind of sounds nice because there's not a ton of emotional connection. So when the relationship ends, you're not really losing anything.
Yeah, and I think that's appealing to a lot of people.
Sure.
Is you avoid the emotional connection.
But then the emotional connection is what drives me to find relationships, though.
Well, you know, so that's interesting. I've gotten into attachment styles. Like,
ooh, what? Go on. No, what's attachment styles?
So attachment styles, it all stems from your childhood, of course, because everything stems from your childhood. Of course,
mama.
Yeah, and how your parents dealt with you and raised you, etc. But if I'm getting this correct, there's 4 attachment styles.
Okay.
There's secure, where you're secure in a relationship.
In the relationship, okay.
Yeah. There's anxious, which I am. Mm-hmm. I got a bit of. I've been working to try to become secure.
Okay.
So I'm kind of, I'd say, on the spectrum between anxious and secure.
Okay.
Right now. But anxious style is you want that connection. You want to speed it up. Mm-hmm. You need constant contact from your partner. You know, we've talked about before, if somebody goes a while without texting, you're like, well, what's wrong?
What's wrong? Something's wrong. Yeah.
Do they hate me? Are they dead?
Yeah.
Like,
they're
what's
probably
happening?
dead. It's Los Angeles. They could be dead.
They're definitely dead. So that's the second one. The third one is dismissive avoidant. So a dismissive avoidant will often, in the early stages of a relationship, kind of love bomb you.
Okay.
You know, they'll write you poetry. They'll constantly be texting you. They'll talk about how wonderful you are, until about the 4-month mark. 4 to 6 months in, a dismissive avoidant will start pulling away because now it's real.
Interesting.
Yeah. So now there's commitment, and a dismissive avoidant wants their space. They don't want their independence or autonomy threatened, and they have a problem with vulnerability.
I wonder if I'm dismissive avoidant. That sounds kind of... What's the last one? Go ahead.
So the last one is fearful avoidant.
Okay.
And fearful avoidant is kind of a mix between, in a way, anxious and dismissive avoidant. So the fearful avoidant wants that connection and has that anxiety and everything, but then will also get to a point where they just pull away.
So they're a cat.
Yeah, basically.
Basically a cat.
And what's funny with both the avoidants, and it's a little different between dismissive and fearful, but basically what it boils down to is they pull away because the way that they grew up, they don't feel that they're good enough for the relationship. They don't feel that they're good enough for their partner, like deep down.
But they want the relationship, but they don't feel like they're good enough for the relationship.
Yeah, more so for the fearful. The dismissive feels that way, but the dismissive also has that fear of losing their independence and autonomy. So I don't know that they actually want a relationship.
Sure.
They want that connection, and that's why they love bomb in the beginning. But they ultimately pull away because once it starts getting real, it kind of freaks them out and becomes uncomfortable.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And these are just Brad's readings like he's a tarot card reader. No, like this is what Brad has read.
Tarot's where I found out about.
Is that really makes a lot of sense? The King of Cups or whatever it is. This obviously applies across the spectrum with all types of people, right? Like but at the same time, it's interesting how we try and what's it called? Like put ourselves into pods or classify ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In our relationships. And
again, all this I think takes place on a spectrum.
Of course. But I think a lot of people find solace in trying to understand relationships, why relationships went wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think like tools like this help. But at the same time, I don't know, part of me just, it's weird. It's just like, you don't know me. Why are you judging me on your spectrum? You know what I mean? It's like that.
Well, it's interesting when you get into the attachment styles because I have dated dismissive avoidance, not realizing it. And then you read about it and it's like, oh my God, like it's textbook. Like we've talked about once we got diagnosed with bipolar and we read about it. It's textbook. It's the same thing. Like I said, the 4 to 6 month mark, I can look back on relationships and be like, oh shit, there we go.
There it is.
Like about 4 months. They started pulling away.
Interesting.
When they first start pulling away, it'll average about 10 days between when you see them.
Really?
Yeah, so you'll see them about once every 10 days. And there was one dismissive avoidant I dated that's exactly what happened.
10 days,
The last month, it was like every 10 days we saw each other. Exactly on the dot, like fucking clockwork.
Wow.
And so you start reading this stuff and it's like, oh my God.
Well, and what's fucked about breakups like this is that, especially if you are love bombing, right? Like you become quasi obsessed with this person. They end it for whatever reason they end it. Like you're going to take such a dive, like emotionally, like you're bound for a depressive state because you're hitting that manic high because that's what you feel like this person gives you, or that's what you experience in this person's presence. And then that's gone. It's just ripped away from you.
That's kind of the danger of dating a dismissive avoidant.
Sure.
Because of that love bombing. Like again, like, there was one that I dated wrote me all sorts of poetry.
Really?
And shit. Yeah, I've never been like somebody's muse.
Oh, Mandy wrote me a couple of, has written me some songs, which is very nice. Okay. No one's like written me like poetry.
Yeah. It's very, very like nice.
Yeah, it's flattering.
It was good poetry.
Sounds flattering.
It was just constantly like I said, like showering me with praise. Like not just like talking about how wonderful I am or like my eyes and stuff, although that was there too. But talking about like internal things about me that impressed them.
Oh.
And it was just like piling on. And so that becomes addictive.
Did you feel like you were being love bombed? Like, did you identify it?
I didn't. No,
you felt okay with it.
Yeah, because we were it was reciprocal.
Okay.
Like she'd write me poetry, I'd write her poetry.
Okay. Well, then,
And then it got to the point where I was like, I'm the only one writing poetry still.
Oh.
Yeah. And then it's like, but that's the danger of the dismissive avoidance. So they come out of the gate super strong, get you hooked to that. That's kind of what you think the relationship
right, what it's going to be.
You're seeing each other several times a week.
Yep.
And everything is just like, you have to touch each other constantly and, you got all this. And then there's the pull away.
Right.
And the pull away happens. It's like turning on a dime.
Damn.
And so, yeah, that's I think the rough part about dating a dismissive avoidant. What's a slippery slope to go down if you start reading about this is there's a lot of negative shit on the internet, of course, in general.
God, so much toxic crap.
But people hating on dismissive avoidance.
Well, like
of this
individuals,
stuff.
you mean? Like, I dated one, fuck those people?
Yeah. Yeah, just being like, oh, they're awful for this reason,
okay.
that reason, blah, blah, blah. And that's not what it is. It's, again, all this stuff stems from our childhood. And these are things we need to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I realized I had an anxious attachment style. And I've been working to try to heal that. But it's difficult. Mm-hmm. And especially, so they call it a trauma bond.
Okay.
But people with an anxious attachment style.
By the way, that's Trauma Scar's first album. Trauma Bond.
It's Trauma Bond. Trauma Scar!
Woo!
Buy the album now.
Available on iTunes.
Dismissive avoidance and anxious attachment styles are incredibly attracted to each other. because they both come out of the gate with that high intensity.
Yeah, 110, right.
But then the anxious style stays there while the dismissive starts pulling away and starts getting freaked out by it.
See,
so they call it a trauma bond because they're ultimately bonding over some shared trauma from their youth, but also because it creates trauma because those relationships don't last.
Yeah.
And they usually end poorly. Like not all the time.
I think that's the hard thing about relationships ending, right? Because each person goes into a relationship with your own wants, right? Yeah. And reasons for being in the relationship. And then when the relationship ends, what the one person is telling the other person is, I don't want you anymore, or you aren't fulfilling the need I once had anymore. And that can be any sort of need and want.
Yeah.
But the person, like, the breakup the person who's getting broken up with, still wants that other person. That's I think what's so heartbreaking about it. It's less about, for me anyway, it's less about the fact that I'm not spending time with this person anymore, as opposed to I'm no longer wanted. I don't feel needed. I don't feel like whatever I was bringing to the relationship exists anymore. I feel like I don't know, I fucked up.
Yeah.
But I didn't fuck up like I don't know, didn't bring her flowers on her birthday, some shit. Like, I, as a person, am fucked up. So therefore, I'm not worthy of, another relationship. How could I get in another relationship? I wasn't able to satisfy this person. How could I satisfy anybody else?
Which is especially difficult when you're dealing with mental illness.
Sure.
Because there's a part of you that's like, is this what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this part of me that did it run them off? And if it ran them off, is anybody ever going to be okay with it?
Right. Or is the disease, an aspect of the disease, what attracted them to me? Right? Like the manic side of it, or, the introspective side of it. And then, but that's not all of who I am.
And then you go depressed and you're like, let me tell you all my sad shit.
Yeah, I don't.
And then they run for the hills. It's interesting, though, because it doesn't feel this way.
Right.
But reading about all this stuff, everyone who breaks up with somebody still cares about them. Even if they're like screaming and yelling, like, I fucking hate you.
Well, yeah, because they're causing them to have that emotion of hatred.
Yeah.
There's a South Park episode where Butters becomes obsessed with a girl who works at Raisins, which is the South Park equivalent for little kids of Hooters. They're called Raisins, which I think is hilarious. Anyway, he becomes obsessed with this girl, and so he's like sending her poetry and going there all the time to see her. And then eventually he basically runs out of money. He can't go to Raisins anymore, so she breaks up with him. And he's fucking crying on the side of the road. Meanwhile, early in the episode, the Stan character gets broken up with by Wendy, and he goes full emo. Like, he's hanging out with all the emo kids, and he's like, love is pain, sadness is pain. So he runs into Butters at the end of the episode, where Butters is crying on the sidewalk, and Stan's like, Butters, come on, buddy, join my emo clique. And he goes, no, I love this. I love this because this relationship made me feel so strongly that I'm crying on the sidewalk in the rain. It hurts. It hurts so bad, but it proves to me that I can be hurt that bad, which gives me hope for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's, that old saying, it's better to have loved than lost than never.
Yeah.
Which doesn't feel like it when you're in the midst of a breakup.
Of course not. Hey, friends. Brad and I started Batshit because we needed someone to talk to about our bipolar. So when looking for a sponsor, BetterHelp was the obvious choice. BetterHelp provides access to therapists via text, via Zoom, via email, via phone call, 24 hours, 7 days a week. I don't need to tell anyone how broken the American healthcare system is, especially when it comes to mental illness. But the beautiful thing about BetterHelp is that they'll work with you. Go to www.betterhelp.com/batshit. You'll get 10% off for the first month, and you'll get someone to talk to right now. If you need to talk to someone, do it. Please. We love you.
Thanks for listening. Help us continue the conversation. Leave us a comment with your thoughts, experiences, or questions about mental health. Every opinion and viewpoint is valid. Just Don't be a dick.
You know, I can look back. I had a really bad breakup with this one chick that I was just head over heels for.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know I was bipolar. Looking back on it, it was all, you know, bipolar shit. But like I remember explicitly like her like frothing at the mouth, basically, like going off on me, telling me how much she hated me.
Really?
And all this shit. Yeah. And once all that passed and I dealt with the hurt, I could look back and like I have really fond memories.
Right. You don't remember that. Well, I mean, you do remember it, but then you don't focus on it.
Yeah, but also like talking about how people still care about someone after that happens. We had emailed like months later, back and forth, and she was just like, she'd said something like, I know we've had a lot of ups and downs, but I always appreciated you, something like that.
That's nice.
And yeah, because it's like you get in the moment,
right?
And the emotions override, the passion overrides, like whatever you're going through, the hurt, like bubbles up to the surface. But I don't think, and I could be wrong here, but I don't think you can truly love somebody and then truly hate them.
Turn it off. Yeah, you can't turn it off.
I don't think it goes away.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this: are you friends with a lot of your exes?
No.
Yeah, me either. Like almost none.
Like I'm friendly.
Okay.
With some of them.
Oh, I mean, I don't talk to them.
Yeah.
Like there's no
my high school
communication.
girlfriend listens to this show and messages me every now and then.
Oh no.
About stuff. Yeah. I'm trying to think of any others. Well, you know, like we talked about Christy, who we had on the show. Mm-hmm. She and I had dated, and then we didn't talk for years, and then we were friendly for a while. And then she saw me manic, and that ended.
Wah, wah. That'll teach you.
Yep.
I mean, I have some girls that I wouldn't say we were boyfriend and girlfriend. We casually dated. That if I ran into them, it'd be fine. But any of the serious relationships I've had, because I know people who are like, yeah, I dated this girl or I dated this guy for 2 years, and you know, I still see him once a month at foosball or whatever they do. Yeah, foosball's not. You're right. I shouldn't have said foosball, but. But my point is that I can't.
No wonder it broke up.
That's a breakup because you know their monthly foosball game. It's a competitive sport. The people I know that have those relationships where they're still close with their exes, I'm like, how? How are you doing that? Because one way or another, I either have this huge longing for that person, right? Once the relationship ends, or I have this terrible feeling about breaking up with them. So why would me putting myself in that situation is never good for me, you know? Because I'm either hanging out with someone who I actually want to be with and I'm trying to pretend I want to be friends, or I'm hanging out with someone who still wants to be with me and I feel like a shitbag because I don't want to be with them. And so it's almost like I'm leading them on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a hard dance to do.
And we're not dancers, Brad.
No,
we're not built for it.
The last breakup I had, which is so fresh in my mind, it could have been 2 hours ago.
Sure. We all have those.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. But that's somebody I think I could be friends with.
Yeah?
Yeah. One day.
Well, that's just it, right? Like, there's also that span of time, which... I talked about this person the last time we were having a podcast. We talked about Christine, one of the first girls I fell in love with, and that was in high school. I didn't see them for like 8, 10 years, and we met up again at a friend's wedding, and she was there with her boyfriend, fiance, husband, something like that, and I was super nervous about it because I'm sure everyone out there has this moment of like, oh crap, I'm about to see this person I was in a relationship with, and it was a dicey breakup, and I don't know how this is gonna go, and it was absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. I got
like that sickness in the pit of my stomach. That chick I was talking about that was like frothing at the mouth, telling me how much she hated me. I was looking at my TikTok the other day. I had a notification. Somebody looked at my TikTok profile, and it was her.
Ooh.
And just seeing her name and like the little like tiny picture, like my stomach was all in
knots.
turmoil.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
Isn't it awful how these people still have a hold on you like that all these years later?
Yeah.
But again, this goes back to the South Park reference. They made you feel that.
Yeah.
You know what? We talk about apathy on this show a lot. You know, how nothing brings you joy. And when you find these, I think that's one of the reasons my relationships have been so volatile over the years, is because I spend a lot of, I cannot remember the term. Remind me the term when nothing's bringing you joy.
Anhedonia.
Thank you. I feel like I've spent a lot of my life in that state of anhedonia where nothing is doing anything for me. Then all of a sudden, here comes this sunshine in the form of a person. And it makes me feel like the world is 1,000 pounds lighter and totally manageable, and life isn't as bad.
Yeah.
And I'm happy. And when that light goes out, right, and that light disappears, I'm back to my, I can't remember, Anagonia?
Anhedonia.
Patagonia?
Patagonia.
Patagonia.
Yeah.
Good old Patagonia.
Catalina.
And that's what makes the breakup so hard, is because if you have spent your entire life underground to see sunlight for 5 minutes, and then you have to go back to underground, never see the sunlight again, which is what it feels like.
Yeah.
Dude. But at the same time, this is going to sound awful and stupid and contradictory. I don't want to be with someone who doesn't want to be with me. I want to be with someone who wants to be with me.
Yeah, I'd like to be somebody's priority.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I don't mean like they leave work or their family to the side for me or any shit.
They don't need to get
your
your face tattooed on their back.
Right. Oh God, please don't.
No, don't do that.
But you know, I would like somebody to consider me, you know, as, I don't know, one of the top 5 things they think about in a day.
Well, then let me ask you this: have you ever fought for a girl? No, I don't mean physically punched. I mean like there have been multiple people interested in this woman, or this woman has like multiple suitors. Have you ever like gone to war to be with a woman?
No,
I
don't think so.
I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Because if the idea is that I'm on the same bar as these other guys, then you shouldn't want to be with me. You should want to be with someone else. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, like, even with all the like self-hatred and shit we have from being mentally ill.
And in the arts.
Yeah, and in the arts. I don't want to date somebody that I feel is superior to me.
Oh, you mean their social standing or their
anything? Like, I don't want to be with somebody where I put them on a pedestal above me. I want us to be partners.
Right.
You know? And like, that's not a healthy thing to put somebody above you.
No, but
I'll say dating wise, I usually punch above my weight class. But I feel like I got the goods.
Got the goods.
Yeah, you know, I may not be Ryan Gosling, I may be Danny DeVito, but
like a jacked
Danny DeVito. But you know, I've got the personality. I got the wit.
Make it up for it. Yeah,
I got the heart. You know,
I got the heart. Nice.
Yeah,
but I'm sorry. That was just a great series of comments.
The only person I ever dated, this was when I was young, that I thought was like a higher standing than me, is somebody I look back now and I'm like, why the hell did I think that? It's that chick I've talked about before who only owned one book.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did I think
she was great?
Yeah. She was kind of trashy.
Yeah. You know
honestly.
What's fucked is that the media has, especially film and TV, has portrayed relationships oftentimes as like an unattainable woman and a schlub of a guy going after her, trying his best.
Romantic comedies have done a number on people, because first off, you get that, but you also get the idea. All romantic comedies are predicated upon the premise. That
was nice.
Thank you. That just because you want a woman, you're entitled to her.
Yes.
And that everything is justified. You can lie your ass off to her.
It's fine.
And it's justified because in the end you love her and she's okay with that.
She's going to be like, oh, you tricked me.
Yeah.
You tricked me into this basement.
Yeah. But that's I think ruined a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
Because that's what we think pursuing a woman is.
Right. And what's fucked about it is people don't even realize when a movie's trying to do something different. Like take 500 Days of Summer is a great example of like Joseph Gordon-Levitt was interviewed after doing that movie. And he's like, this is not, my character is not a romantic. He's basically a stalker. He's obsessed with this woman, and he's created all these reasons to be with her that are not factual.
Yeah.
And it's not healthy, and no one should try and form a relationship like that. Like, if you present yourself to someone and they're like, no, thank you, then that's the answer. The answer is no, thank you.
Yeah.
If you want to go out and try and change yourself, that's fine, but you can't be changing yourself for someone else.
Yeah.
You got to be changing yourself for you. If you approach someone and they're like, I'm not interested in you because, you're not well-read enough. You only own one book.
Yeah.
You should go out and read. You should definitely go out and read, but don't do that just to impress that one person. Go out and read because you want to be better read.
Right.
Because let's say you don't want to be better read, but you're only reading books for that person. I guarantee you that relationship's not going to work out, because you're lying to them, and you're just lying to yourself.
You're changing yourself.
Yeah, you're trying to change yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Have you ever had a good breakup where it's like
good breakup?
Yeah, where like even though you hurt and everything, like the breakup itself was like amicable.
I mean, yes. Yes, I have had an amicable. Yes, I will say I have.
Yeah.
But it was because it was interesting because at the time we were both actors. We were both working actors. She worked quite a bit in Texas. I was touring a lot. And we had gotten together in like a manic frenzy for me. Like we moved in after like 6 months or something like that to a place. And it was, both of us kind of realized like, our work situation didn't really lend itself to a super functional relationship.
Yeah.
And B, what we were able to attain based off of our emotional availability and physical availability being all over the country wasn't what we wanted. So we both kind of were like, hey, I don't, this is awful. It hurts both of us, but we'd probably be better apart. And I got the cat in the apartment, and she got rid of me, which, that's a victory for her, I guess. But yeah, that's probably the only one, though.
Yeah.
Like, out of all of them, that's the only one.
Yeah.
How about you? Do you have a lot of mutual breakups? Not
one.
Mutual. Mutual's the wrong word, but...
I think one.
Just one?
Yeah, I think the last one.
Yeah.
That I had was just very, like... I don't know. When two people care about each other and there's, like, other reasons they can't be together. I think you just want... Like, it still sucks.
Sure.
But you want the other person to... Oh, dogs.
Dogs.
You can't hold it against the other person. And you want them to be happy. I mean, that's one of the things I think that a lot of people get wrong when they think they love someone. If you actually love someone, you want them to be happy, even if happy means that they're not with you.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and that animosity, again, I never had the animosity towards the other person, or I very rarely did. It usually would happen if, there was, infidelity type of thing. Then, yes, there was some animosity on my part towards the other person, but a lot of it was self-hatred. Yeah. It was like, oh, I'm not good enough. That's why I got broken up with. You know what I mean? And I felt like crap. Or I broke up with the person and I'm like, wow, I don't value them enough. I feel like crap.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I felt like crap.
Yeah. Did you ever break up with somebody and really wanted to, like, you broke up with them and then later you were like, I want to get back together with them?
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Do you think that was manic breakups?
I don't know. I definitely think one or maybe even two of them were like shiny things, like you said, like, oh, shiny thing, new person, and I ended the first relationship and I was like, what am I do? Wow, I fucked that up royally.
Yeah.
And that made me want to, but at the same time I was too proud and too not self-aware, self-deprecating for that to be a thing.
I think that's what ends a lot of marriages with people who are mentally ill, especially bipolar. I've talked before that the midlife crisis, I wonder if it's undiagnosed men in their 40s and 50s tend to have their worst episodes.
Right.
And what is a manic episode? You're hypersexual, you're overspending, risk-taking, impulse control. what happens in a midlife crisis? A guy buys a sports car
Mhm.
and leaves his wife for a 21-year-old chick
Right.
that he's suddenly in love with.
Right.
You know, and it's like, it's the hallmarks of a bipolar manic episode.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to wonder how many marriages break up over this. You know, that somebody's been with their spouse forever and then they have these horrible episodes and just like flush it down the toilet. And then maybe come out of the episode 3 months later and they're like, oh God, what did I do?
Oh yeah. Oh, how do I fix this thing?
Yeah.
And that's hard because now you're old.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, people in their 40s and 50s are not old. We're both in our 40s. We're not old. We're strapping and virile.
That's right.
Yeah, damn straight.
Yeah.
Sexy Danny DeVito over here.
Danny DeVito that can go all night.
That's right, baby. Actually, regular Danny DeVito probably can too. I mean, you don't hold on to Perlman not being able to. You know what I mean? But when you're in your 20s, just like when you get hungover, your recovery time's a lot faster. I feel like because you have the mental energy, the physical energy. Same goes with breakups.
Yeah.
You get broken up with, that hurts like a bitch, but your recovery time is lower. Now, you've been in a marriage for 20 years, and that goes out the window. That recovery time is not quick.
No.
And you factor in a depressive episode or a manic episode, which might have caused it. Like, God,
it's rough.
It's painful.
Yeah.
It's painful just to think about.
It's horribly painful.
Because you go, oh my God, I didn't cause this. My subconscious kind of caused this. My illness caused this.
Yeah,
my illness caused this. That other person in me who I don't have any control over and who is constantly fighting for control did this. And now the other part of me, or the regular part of me, the grounded, normal, sane part of me, wants to put those pieces back together, but it's been blown up. It's been detonated, blown up, destroyed.
Yeah. All because of this part of you that you can't control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God damn it, control.
So I've been looking for this, and I finally found it. This is my favorite breakup poem I ever wrote.
Ooh, okay, go.
It's called You.
Ooh.
I still think of that last night I saw you, leaning against the wall like an axe handle, telling me how bad I am for you. Your mouth a dull hatchet, hacking and hacking and hacking away at me. I bled all over the floor and you laughed, and the spiders in the corner wrapped silver webs around my insides and nested in the place where I used to love you.
Yeah, that was an intense breakup, huh, Brad?
Yeah. That one was
brutal.
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like.
That was the one who frothed at the mouth and told me how much they hated me.
I get it. You know, we get a lot of...
But that was actually the first time we broke up, and then we got back together.
Of course you did. Of course you did. When you have that much passion. You know, we get a lot of emails from people asking, like, they're in tumultuous states in their relationship, and they're asking for advice, and we don't have any good answers. We continue to stress that. And everybody's journey is different. Everyone's relationship is different. One piece of advice I think I can give everyone out there, and I feel completely fine about saying this, is look at yourself. Value yourself. Understand that anyone who's in a relationship with you sees that value. And never, ever devalue yourself. Because someone saw that value in you. Someone else will see that value in you when that breakup happens.
Yeah.
And do not ever lower your intrinsic value because of that.
Yeah.
Because that's what ends up happening a lot of the time. People like, the beautiful girl, the beautiful guy breaks up with you, and then you're like, I'm not worth shit. You are.
And you think you're never going to find somebody as good as them again.
And you will.
Yeah.
You will.
Yeah.
Everyone who listens to this, and who doesn't listen to this, although fuck those guys, you're amazing. You're wonderful. You're beautiful. Thank you for listening. Keep fighting.